Hello everybody, it is Caleb and I am back with my multi-instance fixture tutorial series for Unreal Engine. Today we're going to address how to create a standalone mode. This channel's Patreon is now up and I have started adding items to the downloads page, such as a Nexus 5x5 panel that you can scoop up if you happen to contribute. And then I've got the 8-cell multi-fixture from the last tutorial. Discord is up as well. So I've got a showroom where you can show off some of your fixtures. I've got community support where you can get support from other people. I've got video stream channels where you can stream your screen to get help from supporters. So check that out if you get a chance as well, and let's get into this video. If you have been following me up to this point, then you have a fixture like this with the materials reactive to DMX and a rectangle light that averages all 8 pixels value every frame of DMX that it receives, and then outputs that light value. Today what we're going to do is build a standalone mode so that you don't have to fire up your DMX to change the color or output of the light. Currently, if we look at our blueprint and go into our event graph, in this first block it does save our DMX value to a variable that gets stored with the map. So currently you can power off your system with your last known scene, DMX scene still running, and it will store your last known DMX scene. But what we're going to do today is create a standalone mode. So let's get right into it. What we need to do is operate in the construction graph. And the reason we need to operate in the construction graph is we need to be able to change a variable and fire an event with that. And this pin is how that happens. Every time we change a variable that is public, so when we change this pin fires. So we're going to use that to set our colors. And basically what we're going to do is our output colors that is feeding all of this, we're just going to change that. But setting all of these individual vector variables is going to be a pain. So what I'm going to do is create a different type of variable called, well, it's going to be a linear color type, and this is going to be called standalone underscore colors. The type is going to be a linear color. We are going to make it public, and then it's going to be an array type. And just like our output colors, we're going to make 8 array elements that represent our 8 pixels. We're going to drag this out and say get. And then what we want to do is, for every time that this fires, for every time this value changes, standalone colors, we want to copy it over. So we're going to say for each loop, which means for each item in standalone colors, we are going to get the red, green, and blue values and make a vector out of it. And this is going to iterate 8 times because we're going to define 8 colors in here. So we're going to take our array index, and we're going to take our output colors, and we're going to hit get. I don't think we're going to use this set. We're going to say set array element. And then this pin is going to fire 8 times. This array index is going to scroll 0 through 7. And that is going to mean we're going to set 0 through 7 on output colors to our new color. That is how we get the data to the output colors. Now we need to get the event pin to the data colors. So if we go to our event graph, we can see that DMX is running still. This was from my last time. But what we are going to do is right click and hit add custom event. And that's going to give us an event that we can call in our construction script. So we're going to call this standalone colors set. And that means that those colors have been set. And there's two ways to do this. The first is to create a sequence and run this then 0 pin into this exec pin. Because we only want to hit these two items. We don't want to hit this top one because it calls our DMX values and sets our output colors to that. So while we're trying to change it on our construction script, it's resetting it to black over here. The other option you can do is run this event directly into this pin here, which I kind of like better because then as we add items, it will continue to follow it. Then the only thing we need to do is on this top block of code here, we need another Boolean called is standalone mode. And that will be a Boolean type, single, and it's also going to be exposed to the public. So we're going to drag off this and do a get, and then our loop body, we're going to do a branch. So every frame that DMX is called, we're going to ask ourselves, is standalone mode turned on? If it is on, we are not, I'm holding control right now, we're not going to set our DMX, our output colors to DMX values. We're just going to do nothing. If standalone mode is not on, then we will call the DMX values. So let's test this. The other thing we need to do before we move on is in our construction script, we need to call this event, standalone color set. And because it's in the same blueprint, all we need to do is say standalone color set, and that is an event that is over here. So when we compile and save this, I do want to put a, because there's so many events going on right now, I want to put a print string right here that says color set, because I want to make sure that it's calling that and not simply feeding off of the patch. So we're going to go out of here, and we're going to change this center one to a standalone mode. That's going to turn it off. And then we can go to our standalone colors and start to set them. Now I have this DMX mode. Let's set that a little bit back so we can differentiate it. Now the other thing we're going to do is figure out, we do want to flip this back to DMX mode and forth to make sure that works. Now one thing I'm going to do to test this is disconnect my ArtNet. So let's go to Activity Monitor, disconnect, and I've stopped ArtNet flow. Now I should be able to still flip between these two modes and go between standalone mode and DMX mode. Now I don't know why it isn't calling this thing here. But I do seem to be calling this event without any DMX flowing. And one way you can see that is if I separate these two monitors and then change this variable, we can see that event firing without the other event firing. So that's how we know that our event is going to fire when we need to. If you want to change multiple lights at the same time, I've tried doing things where I cast to all other objects, and I found the simplest way to change multiple fixtures is just simply by selecting them and then doing whatever it is you need to do. As long as the variables are consistent across the objects that you select, you can change the variables and it won't show here multiple values. Now, if you do happen to change one of these and then you select multiple, you'll be shown with this multiple values. But you could just click it, change it to what you want, and go. So that's the simplest way I found to change multiple fixtures. Now, I totally get that changing each one of these pixels gets a little bit frustrating. To make your life a little easier, you could do one of two things. You can either drag a color here by going New, dropping it right here, and then you can call that color, that exact same color, in other cells, or we can modify our blueprint a little bit. So what we're going to do is not make a separate variable, but instead on our standalone colors, if we set this first pixel, it's going to set the rest of the pixels. And we're going to determine whether or not we're doing that with an additional Boolean called does first pixel set all. I mean, you can name it whatever you want, but drag out from this and do a get, and then this branch is actually going to live right here because we still have to iterate over 8 of our standalone colors. So we're going to put a branch right here and connect our loop body to it. And what's going to come off of it is if first pixel does set all, we're going to use this standalone colors array that we're setting, and we're going to get a copy and just use number 0. Split this again, and then we can copy these 3 nodes and then connect our red, green, and blue wires. And then does first pixel set all? If that is true, we're going to run this script. If it's false, we're going to run this one. And then both of these have to connect to our standalone color set. And just as a reminder, this is a function, or this is an event call over here. So what this does is when we change our first pixel's value, or any pixel's value actually, but the first one is what's going to determine the color. This event pin's going to fire, and 8 times it's going to iterate over getting the first pixel's color and applying that to all 8 of the output colors. And the other thing we need to do here is connect our array index. We didn't do that. So that we can actually iterate 0 through 7 instead of just stay at 0 the entire time. So let's compile this and then test. Okay, we did connect our variable there. So if we turn that on, now we can control the entire color with just the first pixel. And that makes life a little easier for us. It doesn't set all of these colors, and I guess I will do that part before I leave as one last addition. If you want to use the first pixel to set the entire array when you're in this mode, all you would have to do is copy this single node, and your target array is now standalone colors. And then you're going to connect your index, and then you're going to have to make a linear color out of this. And that should do the trick. And then if you want to separate this with another Boolean called now we can control whether or not it does that. So let's set this one to true by default. And then we will compile and save that and make sure I wired everything correctly. Yep, there it is. So this is now setting all of these values at the same time. So that's it. Thank you everybody for watching. Hope you got something out of this video. And if you're feeling like checking out the Patreon or the Discord and seeing what I have set up for our little community that I'm building, I would encourage you guys, and I will chat with you guys in the Discord. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Hope to see you guys next time. Bye.